Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Woolridge, and I want to talk with you about intentional interim ministry, that time between two settled pastors, a time when we get ready for what's next. In that time, there are a variety of conversations and other experiences that'll help us discover who are we in God's eyes? What's our ministry context or our setting? And what does God want us to do next? Saying yes to an intentional interim means saying yes to doing the work of the interim time. Our covenant is that we'll work together to make the interim time a fruitful time and a period of growth in the life of the church. Let's look first at the 5 focus points. These are a variety of topics that we can focus our attention in this time. Let me bring that up. So what you're seeing on the screen is the work of the Interim Ministry Network and the Center for Congregational Help. And we look at these 5 focus points in a variety of ways during the interim time, but look at heritage, reviewing how the congregation has been shaped and formed, who we are, our identity, and who we are as a church when we're at our best. Next is leadership, looking at the membership needs, the way that we organize around ministry. This is a great time to develop and nurture new leaders in the life of the church and ask current leaders to refocus, to recommit, to say, this is how I want to serve in the future. Next is mission. This is about purpose and direction of asking, God, what are you calling us to do? What does it look like in this new chapter? Next is connection of our community of faith, our congregation, to entities outside of us, whether it's partners in the community doing ministry together, could be ecumenical work, and it's certainly looking at our denominational ties and strengthening those. Last of the 5 focus points is future, putting together what we think is great about us and helping the search committee find our next pastor that has the gifts and skills to fulfill what God is calling us to do. So when we're looking at these 5 focus points, we know that every congregation is unique. It's not a one-size-fits-all. But as we look at these points, we all want to answer the question, who are we as a congregation? Who are our neighbors, or what's our context for ministry? And lastly, what is God calling us to do? So very important to focus on those, to do that work together as a congregation. So let's talk about what this process might look like in the interim time. I'll bring up another item that we can share, and it's a roadmap. I think you'll find this interesting. And flip to that. Here's our roadmap for interim ministry. This is what it can look like in our church. So it starts with the interim minister arriving and all of us getting to know one another in relationships, how the church works. In that getting to know you phase, a transition team is formed and trained, begins its work by looking at goals for the interim time. And then here, seeing the goals for the interim time, this is really the heart of our work. And that's that identity, context, and calling. Who are we? What's our ministry setting? And what does God want us to do about that? Part of the goals too is being healthier and clearer as a congregation and how we do life together as church. When we've done the bulk of that interim work, it's time to form a search team or a search committee. And you can see what they do. They develop, with the help of the church, a congregational profile, a snapshot of who we are. They develop interview questions, put together a promotional package that talks about our congregation and our community. They receive ministerial profiles. They pray a lot, they interview, they call references, and when it gets through the whole process, then it's time to call the settled pastor. So you can see that the roadmap is set to begin when the previous pastor leaves, and it ends when the next pastor is called. So that kind of gives you in a nutshell what the interim time could look like. So there's a starting, there's setting goals, there's doing the work, and calling the next pastor that fits that next chapter in our life together. Lastly, I want to talk about the covenant. I had said before, when we say yes to being in an intentional interim ministry time, we're saying yes to doing that work. So the covenant is the interim minister saying, I agree to do this. So it's the 5 focus points. It's working that roadmap that we talk about. It's also the congregation, each one of us in the church saying, and I will do my part in helping those things happen. So if we promise to God and to one another that we will do this work together, and we follow through and make it happen, great things are coming our way as a congregation. If you have questions about any of this before the congregational vote, or would like copies of what has been shared here, please contact the search committee or the church office. Thanks and blessings to you.